Alrighty, welcome back to WWE 2K26, the showcase mode. Time for this triple threat match between
WrestleMania 41 was supposed to be the culmination of all those years of hard work. After all the ups and downs, all roads pointed to the one location I'd always dreamed of, the main event of WrestleMania. My victories over Drew and Seth had shown that I was still at the top of my game. After I eliminated both Roman and Rollins at the 2025 Royal Rumble, I soon found myself tossed over and thrown to the floor. And that allowed Rollins to release all his frustrations, taking Roman out with a stomp, attacking me, and punctuating the whole mess with another stomp on Roman. So when Heyman announced that the three of us would meet in the main event on the first night of WrestleMania 41, that's when I struck. I used my earned favor from Survivor Series to request Heyman be in my corner that night. This infuriated Roman Reigns, who would not listen to reason, insistent that Heyman had turned his back on his tribal chief. And in all the madness, Roman and I both lost sight. We never thought that night would end the way it did.
Oh no!
Heyman betraying both of us.
Oh my God! What the hell did we just witness?
I can't think of a better candidate for slingshot tech to address. It took my whole career to get to that main event. So let's go back to WrestleMania 41 and get me the win that I was well on my way to earning. Let's destroy the Architect's plans. Let's show the Oracle that he doesn't see all. And let's force Roman Reigns to acknowledge us.
So before I was interrupted, even though it doesn't really matter, yes, this is the triple threat match between Reigns, Rollins, and Punk. That was used as sort of I call it a prologue match, because we never finished the match to begin with, and on top of that, you didn't finish the match, and you were just kind of thrown into it and said, yeah, here you go. Similar to in the 2K25 one, when you started out with the end of Roman's reign of the Undisputed Championship, that Cody would win. So that's basically, yeah. The only difference is I don't recall no, you didn't have Cody win that match, because he was able to accept that loss. And in fairness, he being Paul Heyman, in the storyline of it was that he accepted that loss, but because of that loss, he wanted to correct other losses, which was something nice that you can do, and in a way you are doing it here with this match. Because as he mentioned, Punk was betrayed by Heyman, as well as Roman. Both of them were betrayed. And by the way, this, is not a hiccup. I thought it was. But the reason why I'm showing this entrance is because it is a WrestleMania entrance. And no, not in the sense of, I'm showing all three instances because it's WrestleMania. No, this is actually what he did for this entrance at WrestleMania. Was he had showed up with a flamethrower, did all that, the lights went out, and then here he was. I'm showing it because I like it. Like, I always think it's cool when they actually do stuff like this. Similar to, and I think I skipped it, but the CM Punk and Paul Heyman entrance at WrestleMania with The Undertaker. I think I skipped it mostly because it was just a normal entrance. But in actuality, they had the urn with them, and they were not playing with the urn, but they had the urn, and they were showcasing that they had the urn in their possession in an effort to get under The Undertaker's skin. So that's always nice. One thing, though, they have not done in any of these games so far is put in the pianist for Roman. And then again, he's only had it like twice. I think at 40 and 42 this past year's WrestleMania, which that was a good entrance. And that was a good match between him and Punk for the world title this time, especially with Punk coming out to his Ring of Honor theme and Roman just having the big piano piece, and then coming out to not the original, like, Tribal Chief theme, but, I mean, I guess you could call it the original one, because when that hit, kind of everyone, but when both those songs hit, everyone kind of knew, like, oh, this was going to be a fight, and it was. This one, you had that big fight feel as well, because 1, main event of WrestleMania. 2, it was also, hey, here is all 3 of these guys hate each other. And they're going to beat the tar out of each other. The only thing that I guess you can say was kind of bad about the match was, actually, come to think of it, I can't say anything bad about the match. I guess you could say the biggest issue was the fact it fell on night 1 as opposed to night 2 of WrestleMania. But at the same time, night 1 has always been the weaker of the 2 cards for WrestleMania. When they started going in 2 nights in 2020, when they started doing it that way. Because once they started doing it in 2020, because of COVID restrictions, there's usually one of the cards feels very overwhelming, one of the cards feels very underwhelming. And to me, that's kind of what they do. Their Saturday show always tends to be a little meh. You know, not that great, but watchable and enjoyable for most people. And then WrestleMania Sunday actually feels like a WrestleMania where you have all the fun stuff. But I digress. One of my favorite, I don't really have a favorite WrestleMania because my first WrestleMania that I watched was actually WrestleMania 31, in which Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase on Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in what was dubbed the heist of the century. And that would kickstart his first world title reign. That would eventually end with him being injured and vacated. Which, when he vacated the belt, he was then... Well, when he vacated the belt, that would actually give way to Roman Reigns' first world title. When he would win a... What was a tournament final match at Survivor Series before again getting cashed in on by Sheamus. Roman would win the belt a month back later, and then for a second reign, lose it at the Royal Rumble in 2016, which I wanted to go to because it was in Orlando, but I was still in school and tickets were expensive. And yeah, when you don't have adult money to do stuff like that, you can't do it. But I don't regret it. I got to spend time with my family watching the event, so that was always fun. And plus, years later after the 2016 Rumble, they eventually had WrestleMania in Tampa, which was 37 with live fans, so I got to do that and be there with my family. That was fun, and we got to see a steel cage match and everything. But this match, like I said, was a good one, was my favorite match on the Saturday card. But then again, that Saturday card was overall weaker than the Sunday card. But hey, what else can you do? So I covered Roman Reigns primarily in the last showcase because, well, the showcase is practically about him and his family. CM Punk has been covered in this showcase, and I covered Seth Rollins in the last one. So I guess that leaves one person alone to cover. Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was more known in this day and age as a manager, ballet type of character. You go back all the way to the 80s and 90s. He was basically a ringside photographer, allegedly lied about his age to get in to the shows to take the pictures and do all he could do, and it was a success. Well, eventually he gets picked up by Eastern Championship Wrestling to help them out. Silently, it's then Eastern Championship Wrestling is part of the National Wrestling Alliance. It leaves, it comes back, it's teetering. Before Heyman and Todd Gordon quietly buy out Eastern Championship Wrestling and slowly but surely form it into Extreme Championship Wrestling in 1993. Paul Heyman then starts ECW and being the general manager, the promoter, the booker. Basically, he did everything under the sun for that company. He was bringing talent in left, right, and center from Japan, from Mexico, which is where a lot of luchadors got their start here, and how they got thrown on the WCW radar, like Rey Mysterio Jr., Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. All of them got a lot of their starts in ECW, as well as some guys who started in WCW or WWE didn't quite work out, so they got released. They would make a pit stop in ECW a little bit before making their way to the other promotion. And that is how he worked. Heyman, while according to multiple interviews, including the rise and fall of ECW, Paul Heyman was always honest with the fans. He would tell the fans exactly what was going on if he needed to. He also would lie to the talent. His big issue with ECW was sometimes they weren't always making the money to pay for all of their talent, which would cause some of them to walk, some of them to basically threaten, I'm not going to work if you don't give me any money. And he would give them, he'd be like, okay, well, here is what I owe you from the last time. Next time I see you, I'll get you the money from this time. It basically was turning into a little bit of a Ponzi scheme. Eventually, though, ECW would close because Heyman basically couldn't pay the talent. He tried to take the company national, and he did on, it was the TNT channel. However, the big issue with ECW was Extreme Championship Wrestling. They were known for their violent wrestling. And that is not very sponsorship friendly. It was eventually used as a ruse, however, because the broadcasting rights for WWE were coming up, and TNT, which was on a slightly wider network than USA, or it was on the same, it had the same amount of coverage as USA. Whatever network they were on. I say USA because it's been on USA for the longest time. Where they were like, oh, wrestling will work on our company. And to prove it, they bought the rights for ECW for a year and a half to see if it would work. However, it didn't. ECW tried national TV failed. Because, there's a handful of factors. Like I said, one, their product wasn't very sponsorship friendly. Two, and this is on the network, the network never kind of said they were there. So the only way you knew about them being on the air was if they told you. Is when you when they told you they were coming, hey, we're going to be here on the air at 8 o'clock on Tuesday. That's how you knew they were airing. It would end up being Heyman would do a fully fledged promo on the network where he's basically calling them out for not really helping them succeed in any way, shape, or form, but using them to get money from Vince McMahon. So he's like, alright, fine. If you're not going to allow us to succeed, I'm going to use all my airtime getting you to throw me off the air. And they basically spent their entire time calling out the owners of the network, as well as other people on. Just everyone. Then that's kind of the final nail in the coffin. Once they can't get another TV deal, ECW shuts the door. In 2001. The arena that's known as the 2300 Arena gets a full meal assigned by everybody who had participated in there, and that was it. Eventually, the assets for ECW are bought out by WWE, and WWE attempts to revive it. It was terrible. Everyone believed it was terrible, because the problem was they made it advertiser friendly because it was under WWE. The kicker is, some of the fun things with ECW was the extreme violence, chaos, and the rough and unpolished look it had, as opposed to when it went on TNT. It had that polished look, which was a good thing long term for the company, but when no one's buying the WWE version of it because you're not really making it extreme, and on top of that, a lot of the people who are winning the championship are your typical Vince McMahon type guys. Kind of the 6'4", jacked among, and like jacked guys are winning the belt. This is not an insult to him like Bobby Lashley, when a lot of the ECW champions were whoever they could find, like take two-time ECW champion Mikey Whipwreck. He was a dude who was working for the company, just setting up the ring, and would run the ropes just to make sure everything was working properly, and Heyman got him trained. He got him trained as best he could with the ECW cast and crew of characters, and he only really thrived in ECW and the independent scene. But two-time ECW champion, and he was a ring boy. So yeah, that's where he thrived. Another wrestler who we will talk about later, got a stint in ECW, was, believe it or not, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He had a brief stint in ECW where, like I said, if you were in between WCW and WWE, he probably made a pit stop there. He did. He had an issue with WCW. Paul Heyman had a TV show. It's like, here, you got an issue? Grieve it. See what happens. And Austin did everything he could do. He would eventually get signed by WWE and have an illustrious Hall of Fame level career. Paul Heyman is one of those guys who, I think he falls similar to a Vince McMahon and a Hulk Hogan, of like, you can like him as a person, you can hate him as a person, but professional wrestling would not be what it was without him, because Heyman basically brought up this whole extreme style that a lot of people know and love, and eventually would turn into the cult phenomenon of deathmatch wrestling. I've been on record saying I'm not a fan of deathmatch wrestling, but that doesn't mean I don't like watching the extreme weapons matches. Nope, no Superman punch for you, Roman. What do I even have to do? Okay, Anaconda Vice, that's right. Alright, this should take care of that. Ooh, hey! Oh, I gotta hit Roman specifically with the go to sleep. I can't hit Rollins with it? Are you kidding me? I probably means it's gonna start a cutscene. If I've noticed, if it's very specific, like, oh, hit person X with the go to sleep in these like multi-man type matches, it usually starts the cutscene. So if I can get him in the ring, please. That failed miserably. Actually, why did I even do that? Okay. This is why some people are not born to fly. Well, let's get him back into the ring. Nope. Oh, come on. How does that... Now, why is it if I do that, it's not going to work? And you're going to reverse 2 of those. So that last one that'll stun you, you'll reverse that one. Seriously, I didn't... Okay, I don't know. Alright, fine. Thank you, Roman. Thank you. Alright, quit taunting. Let's get in the ring. Nope. Yes. Yes. Ah, come on. Whoa! Rollins trying to cheat. Do you mind? Seriously? All that? What for what? Oh my gosh, okay. No. You're not allowed to win yet. I need to win. No. I want you up. And
the onslaught to his core is continuing. And now Punk kick to the midsection of Reigns. Rollins trying to crawl back into this as well.
Rollins trying to prevent that GTS on Reigns, but he's about to eat one himself.
Oh, bang! Spear! Stop! Everybody down!
Oh, what a moment of chaos in this match! If any man here can get a cover, it could be victory, but wait up! Lurking is Paul Heyman with a steel chair.
And no shocker here, handing the chair to his friend, CM Punk. And this, guys, this could be the ultimate betrayal of Roman Reigns.
Oh, Heyman went for a low blow, but caught by CM Punk. What the hell is Heyman thinking?
And now Punk with a roundhouse kick to Reigns.
Well, Heyman tried to stab his man CM Punk in the back, but was denied. But now Rollins with a low blow of his own on Punk. What the hell is going on?
And now Heyman handing the chair to Rollins. What the hell? Oh no!
The devil's work is afoot tonight. Plan B all over again.
That pathetic Paul
Yeah, let's alright, so now win the whole thing. Yep, makes sense. So now I gotta try and... Okay, I need to kick out of this. Oh, nope. Resiliency. Thank you. Alright. So, yeah. Now it's time to win the match. Because... Heyman has now betrayed Rollins and Reigns. Which I always think it's a little bit dumb sometimes these games where it's like, oh, well, now you need to, so it's like, oh, now that he's turned his back on me, and the scene was originally, yes, Heyman would low blow Punk, and then eventually give the chair to Reigns, he would then low blow Reigns, but in this case, Punk, since he would do it, why are you trying to do that again? Get in the ring, you fool. We're gonna try it. Okay, I can't. Alright, let's see if I can end this quickly. Come on. One. Nope. Of course he breaks the pinfall. Anyway, I was gonna say I love how, like, with all of the matches, it's like, oh, here's this thing that ended the match originally, but now it doesn't end the match because, well, that's what we need to have happen. Is he needs to win. Okay. Now he's down. And Roman. 1, 2. Okay, well that gets rid of his resiliency, so that's fine. And I know, why are you targeting the ref? Send him into the corner. Ah, come on. Like you knew what was happening. Alright. Let's maybe play this a little bit small. You pivoted your way. Well, thank you. I did not want to have to do this match again. That was ridiculous. You moved out of the way to hit me. Like, Rollins was there the entire time and would have eaten the fall. But no, Roman has to pivot and gore me out of my boot. No, fear. Rhino is the gore. Oh, yeah. Nah, same move anyway. The only difference is who does it. Well, now plenty of people have kicked out of Roman's spear, but as far as I'm aware, nobody's kicked out of Rhino's gore, so that's the difference between the two. Rhino's words, not mine. Oh, yeah. That's how ridiculous wrestling is sometimes, is it's like, hey, nobody's ever kicked out of my finisher. Your finisher has been kicked out of. Yeah, but it was never done by me. And if they ever kicked out of it done by me, it wasn't the finisher. It was the actual move. Alright. I am going to send you down to the mat. And we are going to pull a WrestleMania 3 Macho Man Randy Savage and use a small package to win the game. Match. Now, same difference. We did it. Pro Wrestling's greatest enemy, the roll-up. Always gonna come in clutch. Anyway, that takes care of this match. That does not take care of the showcase, unfortunately. Because for some reason, they like to throw in like 2 or 3 bonus matches that make sense. Not that they don't make sense, but it's like you don't really need these bonus matches because they really don't do any good other than just elongate everything. But that's going to do it. See you next time.